Hi there, this is Rodney Braun, and today we are going to be doing some architecture photography. For a lot of things, we know that we look for sweet light, which is that light kind of an hour before sunset, hour after sunrise, where that's warm golden light. For architecture, often we go for just after sunset or just before sunrise in what's called blue light, where the sky is a rich, super awesome blue. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Come join me, and we're going to go from images that look similar to this, and we're going to create stuff like that and like that, which is pretty awesome. So come join me on this journey. Thanks for watching, and sit back. So here we go. Today's edition, I went to the Forks. I went there in Winnipeg. Went there early, did some scouting, looked around and said, okay, where's the light coming from? Where do I want to shoot? What are the angles that I want? And some of the angles that I wanted were an angle like this, which looked much like this when I was out there. And I knew I wanted to get something that's sort of in the middle of the bridge that had an angle like that. And I also knew that I wanted something that looked like this from the shore as well. So those were the three images that I wanted. So I went there, I set up a time lapse right from here. And so you'll see a bit of that going on. And you'll see how it kind of goes from, as the sun goes down, the lights come on, and then it slowly kind of gets to the blue light. So that's what you're going to see in the background. But we're just going to get right into this and roll away. So this is the first image that I created. Oh, there's also a couple of images you'll see here in the thumbnails. And you'll see the file names are a little bit different. The ones with just a normal tag are just on the tripod. They're shot that way. And then there's a series that I've did handheld. And so these here are images that are handheld. They're done at a higher ISO. They're done at a wider aperture. So there's a narrower depth of field. So with this, not everything is going to be in sharp focus. Whereas the images that are done on a tripod, if you click on this here, give it a second, everything is going to be in crisp focus, right from here all the way back here, and in the far background it's all going to be sharp. It's all going to be super, super sharp, because the ones on a tripod were done at ISO 64, 30-second exposure at f16. So you get a nice depth of field. It's a wider angle lens. That's shot at about 18 millimeters on a full frame camera. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. So that's why you get some of the ones that are going to have a different weight balance here. Anyway, we're just going to go through, and this is the first image we're going to look at. We're going to open it up in Camera Raw. If you happen to be a Lightroom user, you can use that. You can use On One. Whatever you choose to use to process your stuff is all good. So first things first, we always take a look at the white balance. And this was as shot, so it's kind of nice. But we may want to look at it and go, we know that this here is white. And so we can do a couple of things. We can just grab our color picker. We can say we know this is white, and it's going to turn it into a really, really blue hour. It's more blue hour than I'd like. And so we're going to just take and warm that up and bring that up to something that looks good. Now 37, 3800. That looks nice. It's not a stark white, but you get a good solid white in there. So I like that. Next thing I'm going to look at is exposure, and we can bring that down, or we can bring that up. I'm going to just say, let's put it at about minus 0.15 right now, and that's a good place to start. Highlights. So the highlights and the whites on this bridge are really kind of the big thing with it. We want to really pop those out. So our highlights, usually when we're doing sunsets, we bring our highlights down so that we get detail in the sky. Today, because this is after dark and it's a whole different thing, we're going to bring them up. So we're going to bring them up to about plus 30 or so. And that's just going to make these highlights here pop, which is really quite nice. Next thing, I always shoot things flat in the camera. My raw files are not super saturated, so I'm just going to add a little bit of vibrance and a little bit of saturation to this, just straight out of the box here. And then I'm going to go in and tweak a few things. This building in the back here is the Museum for Human Rights, and it is lit up. So we're going to take and we're going to add some more light to that. We're going to do this at about 1.1. I'm going to come in here, and we're just going to add that light into the building. I did go a little bit far even with the auto mask on, so I'm just going to erase just that little bit on the outside. There we go. So now we've brightened it up, made it feel a little more homey, and that's great. From there, we're going to just open this bad boy up. I like what we've got going on here, but you'll notice that there's a couple of lights that are burnt out, and burnt out lights are not my favorite thing. So we're going to open this up, and we're going to take care of that issue right off the bat. So always work in a second layer, so Command or Control J on a PC or a Mac will get you a layer copy. And usually, first thing I also look for is things like dust spots. Here, there's just a little something on the pixel. But usually, if I don't look for dust spots, my friend, well, my buddy Lynn will let me know after I posted something, and I'll go, hey, you know, there's a dust spot there, right? And it drives me nuts, but he's right, and I should look at it the first time. So know that stuff first. I don't have any dust spots today. This is awesome. So next thing I'm going to do is just create a new layer, and it's just going to be a blank layer. And this is going to be the layer that I put the lights into. So we're going to grab our clone stamp, normal 100%. We're going to have our target on here where we have our good lights. And we're going to go back to our other layer, and we're just going to simply turn the light on. And we went a little bit too far here. I had my brush a little bit bigger than I should have, so I'm just going to grab a layer mask, and with a brush that's not quite that big, at 100%, we're just going to brush that out. I don't want anything more than my lights coming in, so that's what I want there. Now we got another one here, so we're going to grab this guy. We're going to grab our clone stamp again. Going to make that our target. And then we're going to come back to this layer again. And turn the lights on. And that's all the lights that I see being out. So just doing that, we've basically taken those two lights, we've turned them on, and finish that off. Boy, this is pretty darn nice. I'm going to do one last thing before I finish this file. I'm going to flatten everything here first. I'm going to make another background copy. And I'm going to do something. I do this with almost every image that I do stuff to, just to kind of see. I'll run a second copy. I'll put it in multiply zone, and it darkens everything up. Darkens, darkens, darkens. And then what I'll do is with a brush at about 40%, I will just take and paint back the stuff that I really want to see. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us a little bit more drama in the sky. We don't need to go like all out with it, but just sometimes we will get a little bit more than we were kind of expecting with it, and it turns out to be a good thing. So it just adds a bit of drama to the sky, darkens things up, and we kind of paint out what we want to make sure stays exactly like it is. So we're happy with that. We flatten it and save it, and we'll save it as a retouch file. I have a retouch already there, so I'll just retouch that too. And I will not have it as a Photoshop file. I will save it as a JPEG, and I'll do it as a quality 11. And there is that image. We're going to go back to this here. We're going to take a look at two other images really quickly. This one here is with the time lapse was on. Love this angle of the bridge. The water was really rushing, and with a 30-second exposure, all of a sudden it ends up looking like a brushed aluminum, which is kind of cool. So we're going to take that, and I'm just going to do, this is going to be super quick, but I'm just going to give you a quick look at what we're going to do with this, and we're just going to play around real, that's a little bit too much saturation. And we're going to bring our white balance down a little bit. There we go. It's a happy place. Going to grab our adjustment brush here, and we're going to go back into the museum and just turn the lights on in here. Make it look really alive. And that's great. And we're going to do one more thing with this. We would turn the lights on in Photoshop again. I'm not going to do that right now. You've already seen how we do that. I'm going to do one more thing, and that is I'm going to do a new brush. Right now the water down here is really dark. And so I'm just going to brighten up the water because it really does look very cool. And so we're just going to bring that up. In this case, about 1 1/4 stops, and brighten that up. And there we go. We have a pretty much finished image. Little tweaks to do for it yet, but just before and after. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff happened there, like that. So we're going to be done that. I'm going to do one last image for you, and that's going to be number 49 here. Let's take a look at this guy. After shooting on the bridge, I ran down here because I knew I wanted this shot of downtown as well. There was kind of a clearing in the brush. Loved it. However, by the time I got here, as you can see, it darkened up quite a bit. And so with this, we're going to, again, just start with our white balance. We're going to bring that down a little bit. We're going to bring our exposure on the whole thing up a little bit. Going to bring our highlights up. Going to bring our whites up. I'm actually going to bring our midtones up a little bit with this as well. Just a touch. Bit of saturation, bit of vibrance. With this, I'm going to throw a little bit of clarity in there. Clarity just gives it punch. Gives it that raw look that's very cool. And I like this. Now, a few things we want to do with this as well. We're going to grab our brush again, and we're going to brighten up the Human Rights Museum here, the interior. Now, anytime we have reflections, we need to be aware of if we brighten up something here, it's reflected down here. So we just take and brighten up that same area in the reflection so that it matches. I'm going to grab a new adjustment brush. I'm going to brighten up the water just a little bit in here and a bit in here. Now there's a bit of crud in the foreground. I don't want that visible. So we're going to take and we're just going to undo this stuff right in here. Okay, we're going to grab a crop tool, and we're just going to come in here and figure out what we want to keep, what we don't. And then with this, we're going to clone this out. I'm not going to do that for you right now because this could go on forever, but we're going to get rid of the branches, the little bits here, but this garbage in the brush we want to get rid of. And then we're going to also make sure that the whole bridge is in the crop. And once we're happy with that, we are done. So here's our before and after. That's a couple of quick clicks with the mouse, but we go from this out-of-the-box decent image to something that really pops. Part of this is because it's a raw image. Again, I can't say it enough. Shoot raw, and it will make things better for you. So shoot your stuff in raw. Couple of quick clicks, you can create the image that you want. And now that we got this COVID thing going on, everybody's going, I got nothing to do, I can't photograph anything. Go out, photograph stuff in your city. If you're in Winnipeg, go shoot the bridges, go shoot downtown. There's a whole bunch of stuff to shoot. If you are anywhere else in the world, I'm sure you have something to photograph. So go and do it, have fun. The whole moral of this is just go out, have fun, enjoy photographing, because it really is a wonderful thing. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, share with a friend, tell my mom. There's probably only 2 of you watching this. By the way, somebody made a boo-boo last time and told my wife about the whisk. That was bad. So, enjoy, watch the video, and share with your friends. Come back again. We're going to be doing another one on product photography, so that if you are cleaning out your shelves and closets with this whole COVID thing, how you can get some great photographs of your stuff, so that when you put it onto Kijiji or Craigslist or Marketplace or wherever you happen to be selling your used stuff, you can get some good pictures for it. So that's what we're going to be doing next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.